जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्णा। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Purusha Shukta Confirmed, text 2, and we will also read text 3 because text 2 does not have a purpose. Sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha grano moda pramodayaho sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha grano moda pramodayo sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha grano moda pramodayo sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha grano moda pramodayah sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha Mataji sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanna se paramayane ashvinor oshadhinam cha grano moda pramodaya sarva all asunam different kinds of life air cha and vayo of the air cha also tat his nase in the nose parama ayane in the transcendental generating center ashvinoha of the Ashwini Kumar demigods oshadhinam of all medicinal herbs cha also ghranaha his smelling power moda pleasure pramodayaho specific sport translation his translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. This verse has only translation, so we'll read the next one for the purport also. The translation of verse 2, his two nostrils are the generating centers of our breathing and of all other airs. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumar demigods and all kinds of medicinal herbs. And his breathing energies produce different kinds of fragrance. Text 3, Rupanam Tejasam Chakshur Divah Suryasya Chakshini Karno Disham Chatirthanam Shrotram Akasha Shabdayo. Translation, his eyes are the generating center of all kinds of forms and they glitter and illuminate. His eyeballs are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all sides and are receptacles for all the Vedas, and his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. Purport. The word Tirthanam is sometimes interpreted to mean the places of pilgrimage, but Srila Jiva Goswami says that it means the reception of the Vedic transcendental knowledge. The propounders of the Vedic knowledge are also known as the Tirthas. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruhu Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I'll just read the translation again. We are reading from 2nd Canto, 6th chapter, verses 2 and 3. His two nostrils are the centers of the generating centers of our breathing and of all other airs. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumar demigods and all kinds of medicinal herbs, and his breathing energies produce different kinds of fragrance. His eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of forms, and they glitter and illuminate. His eyeballs are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all sides and are receptacles for all the Vedas, and his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. Hare Krishna. So first I beg the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, all the devotees here, my senior god brothers, and my father and all the other devotees who are probably hearing online as well. I beg blessings before I start. So in this chapter, Brahmaji, this chapter is entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. So can you see on this side? So in this chapter actually, Brahmaji is answering to Narada Muni. Narada Muni has asked various questions about universal creation to his father and guru, Brahma. So he's answering how this universal, in this chapter it is continued further. Previous chapter there was a big description of the universal creation. In this chapter it is continued. So, in the fifth chapter, the description of the creation of the material universe was given, and the manifestation of the universal form. So, Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas explain that first, the Lord Brahma speaks about Karana Shrishti, which is creation of the material elements. See, for creation, first you need, like, suppose you are cooking something, first you need the ingredients. The ingredients have to come, which is the material elements. So first the material elements are, created by the Lord. And then from these elements, Karya Shakti, that how these elements are brought together, and, this wonderful universe that we see around us, how it is created by, the Lord's cohesive energy, which brings together everything and creates. And then after the universe is created, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he enters into the universe. Now see, these things are so very specifically described, that how creation happens. Because, just yesterday I was having a discussion with somebody where he was saying that, how do we understand that creation? Because if, if somebody has created, then that person must have a creator, and that must be a creator, and so on and so forth, right? But the Supreme Lord Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam. Finally, the final cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he enters into the universe and then manifests as the universal form. So this universal form is described as an imaginary form. The universe is imagined to be the form of the Supreme Lord as Virat Purush, the universal form of the Lord. And, that is the description that is given in the previous chapter. And this chapter, it continues, that what are the different features that this Virat Swarup, Virat Roop of the Lord, Virat Purusha, kept manifesting, and through those things, different things manifested. So, incidentally, this Purusha Shukta prayer, it is also one of the most famous verses of, the Shruti mantras that is appearing in the Rig Veda. I am just repeating what I have heard, so I am not an authority on this, so please don't ask questions on this. But, it is appearing in the Rig Veda. But it is in the Rig Veda, while this Purusha Shukta is mentioned, it doesn't mention who the Purusha is. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse is also confirmed word by word, and also it establishes who that Purusha is. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada has named this chapter as Purusha Shukta confirmed. Okay, so I am just repeating what I have heard from Balaram Shakti Prabhu on this point. So this is not my point, I am just making it very clear. In fact, nothing is our point, everything we are just repeating what we have heard from Prabhupada and previous Acharyas. So in the first three verses covered in this chapter, Lord Brahma is describing how the various gross and subtle senses of the Lord generate the ability to taste, to hear, to see, to smell, to touch, right? So we may say gross senses of the Lord, subtle senses of the Lord. Yeah, because even the Lord is a person. Even, Brahma is obviously, having a physical body, but even the Lord, Vishnu, he is also a person. His entire body, so his gross senses are also spiritual, so he has a nose. He has a nose. The Lord has a nose. It is described in Bhagavatam in various places that the shape of the nose of the Lord is like a sesame flower. Beautiful descriptions are given about the different senses of the Lord. His lips are like a lotus petal. His eyes are like lotus, Kamala Nayana. So he has gross senses, but they are spiritual. And subtle senses also the Lord has. So we'll discuss what are these gross and subtle senses. But from the gross and subtle senses of the Lord, what is generated? All that we have in this world, by which we do whatever we do, it is all generated by the Lord. So let us discuss on this, that how meditating on these verses about the universal form, and how from the universal form the eyes were generated, the power to see, the nose was generated, the power to smell, the nostrils, from the nostrils came the ability to breathe and to smell. eyes, from which eyesight and form can be seen. All of that came from the Lord. So, from this, let us try to understand how we can take these verses and try to, connect it to Krishna and try to understand how, how we can use these verses to become Krishna conscious. Meditating on these verses actually helps us to understand that Krishna is the source of everything. There's this, I'll tell a quick story, a Man-Ghadat story. Once a villager, he went, a villager who lived in his village all his life. वो कभी शहर नहीं गया था, had never gone to the city, big grand city. So he comes to the city, and when he comes to the city, he bumps into a king. There's a king going with a grand royal procession, and he bumps into that king. And he says, "Hey, Ruko, kaun hai tum? Who are you?" He's never seen anyone like this because he's lived in a very small, village. He's never seen this kind of opulence or anything. He's never experienced this. He says, "Who are you?" So he says, "I am the king of this land, So because he realized, very innocent villager, usko kya malum, we have never seen the king before. So he says, "I am the king of this land." So he says, "Whose land is all this? All this land is whose?" He says, "It is mine." Acha. Then he says, "These rivers, mountains, all this land over here, whose is this?" "It's mine." Then he says, "All these trees, all these crops, so many crops, so much farming is happening, these trees, crops, whose are they?" "It's mine." Yeah, then he asks, "यहाँ पे इतने सब, places for entertainment and all are there, वो किसका है?" "वो भी मेरा ही है." Then he asks that, "Arey, what about these educational institutions over here? ये किसका है?" "ये सभी मेरा ही है." "ये सब temples किसके हैं?" "ये भी मेरे ही." So he gets bewildered. सब कुछ आपका कैसे हो सकता है? हाँ, सब कुछ है. He said that आप जिस गांव में पले बड़े हो, the village in which you were born and the village in which you grew up, and the ability you have to ask me questions because you are educated. You are asking so many questions because you have the confidence you are educated. That education, that school in which you studied, that school is also mine. So the ability to speak is also in one sense mine. Now how do we connect this? We connect it because that is what, at a very simple, crude level, that is what Krishna is for us in our lives. He is source of everything. In one place, somewhere in the Gita, 7th chapter, 10th chapter, I don't remember, somewhere, Prabhupada makes this statement that in one sense, Krishna is everything. He is everything. I mean, this floor, this ceiling, this deity, everything. Krishna is everything. He is everything. And in the Gita, he actually says, "Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarvam pravartate." What is the meaning of aham sarvasya prabho? So, Prabhupada translates it as, "I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds." Right? I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. But if you look at when you say material and spiritual world, when Prabhupada says that, what is the feeling we get? That he is the source. Krishna is the source of all the planets, material planets, everything that we see. And all the spiritual planets also, everything is coming from Krishna. But because we are living on only one planet, within that planet, one country, within that country, one state of Maharashtra, within Maharashtra, one Mumbai, within Mumbai, one Chembur, within Chembur, one Sindhi society, road number 1, within which there is a Shlok building. We are living in such a small space on this thing. So, this is good enough that, he is the source of all these planets. Because we see that, oh, God is so great, He is source of all planets. But He is, actually, if you look at the meaning Sarvasya, Sarvasya means everything. Everything. He is source of everything. Not ऐसा कुछ उसमें कोई exception नहीं है. There is no nothing left out there. He is the source of our senses. He is the source of everything. So, actually, beyond the material world, spiritual world, everything that is in the material world and spiritual world, He is the source of that. Everything that we can experience, He is the source of that. And He is the source of the ability by which we can experience. Now, this is what is coming out in these few verses. Continuously the verses are there. See, हमें बहुत नाज है हमारे ability पे. We feel we are so intelligent. I am blessed with 20/20 vision. I have perfect hearing. I remember once there was one person in college, he said that once I read something, I remember forever. Photographic memory. He was saying like that. He's very proud. But that photographic memory, whatever ability, Krishna says, yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam. That whatever vibhuti, whatever great thing you see in this world, whatever it is, right? If you see, like, I always wonder that some of these politicians, how well they speak. They have the ability, wo vaak shakti hai unme, the ability to speak, which some of us don't have. They have that ability. They can just hold an audience for an hour and a half, 2 hours, बात किए जा रहा है, बात किया, public ताली बजा रहा है, ताली बजा. That ability in man or woman is coming from Krishna. So, as it is described in these verses, He is the cause of the gross organ also. The gross organ is what? The nose, the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the skin that we have, right? The gross, so it is described in previous verses and the next few verses, it is described that the gross organ also comes from the Lord, because the Lord has this gross organ. He gives it to the human beings also. In fact, gives it to all living entities. All living entities have an ability to see, smell, hear, taste, touch. All of them have it, right? So that gross organ is first coming from the Lord. Now, if you give, it is like saying, if I give somebody a violin. Anyone knows how to play a violin here? No one. But you have seen violin, suna hai, dekha hai. Dekha to hoga. हाँ. Suppose somebody gives you a violin and say, now play it. Can we play it? क्या लगता है आपको? क्या आवाज आएगा उसमें से? Music आएगा? Some funny sound will come, but the actual sound of the violin, the sweet sound of the violin will not come at all, right? So just having the organ is not good enough. You need to have ability to play also. That ability to play the violin is given by the Lord. So if I have a nose, but I have no ability to smell, what is the use? Like now we have all forgotten, but not so long back when the COVID pandemic had spread, people lost the ability to smell and taste. मतलब बोलते हैं ना, जीवन में से रस ही निकल गया. When people catch a cold sometimes, बहुत severe cold होता है, तो sometimes we lose the ability to taste, ना? Taste का चला जाता है. And at that time we are most miserable. बस खाने का taste नहीं आ रहा है, तो क्या मतलब, क्या रस है जिंदगी में? So we feel so upset. But when we lose something, then we realize its value. Otherwise, we never realize. It's like, we walk every day, एकदम casually यहाँ वहाँ चलते हैं. If one day something happens to your knee, God forbid, नहीं होना चाहिए, but अगर by chance किसी का knee में कुछ hurt हो रहा है, every step you take, that knee keeps poking you. Every step. ये आप लोग को, I pray that किसी को यहाँ पे हो नहीं, but ऐसा होता है. किसी का back का problem है, each step that you take, one poke is going in the back, each step, right? So when we have something, which is working fine, हमको उसका कोई value नहीं होता है. This is the nature of material world, that when we have something and it is working fine, हमको उसका कोई value नहीं है. But when it is taken away, maybe temporarily also, suddenly we understand, अरे हाँ यार, like you did an eye surgery and for 2 days you can't see because you have put that putty or whatever, you can't see for 2 days. You realize what seeing means, looking, just having the ability to see. So the Lord gives the gross organ, nose, eye, tongue, ear, skin, He gives to everyone. But He also gives the subtle sense, the gross sense and the subtle sense. What is the subtle sense? For the nose, it is the ability to smell. For the eye, it is the ability to see form. Okay. For the tongue, it is the ability to taste, to speak also. Such exotic, esoteric things the Lord has given us, which we just take for granted. मतलब हमें लगता है कि हाँ ये तो हमको मिल गया ऐसे ही, मतलब ऐसे ही मिला है, लेकिन किसी किसी के पास वो नहीं है. For a person who can't hear, they can't speak also because they don't know what sound is. Can you imagine? They don't know what is sound. Our whole life is sound only, everything. But for someone who doesn't have it, because of whatever karma, they didn't receive that ability to see, that ability to hear, to touch, to smell. It's gone. So the ability to do these things, the subtle sense organ, gives the ability to do these things. Then He also gives, there is one demigod corresponding to each of these senses. Right? Like it is mentioned over here, Oshadi, this Ashwini, like Ashwini Kumaras are for the nose. Then for the eye, which is the ability to see, it is Suryadev. For the ears, it is mentioned Dig Devtas. For the tongue, it is Varuna. And for the skin, it is Vayu. So each of these senses, the Lord has given a particular demigod who is responsible that this sense functions properly as per the karma of this person. And finally, अभी अगर आपके हाथ में किसी ने एक वायलिन थमा दिया, उसको बजाने का एबिलिटी भी दे दिया, हाँ, बट सामने कोई है नहीं बजाने के लिए, तो कितना बजाओगे? You need someone, you need an audience. Same way, if you're given senses, you're given senses, it's like someone gave you currency. Someone gave you currency. They gave you a sense, they give you ability to use that sense, but there's nothing in front to engage that sense. Again, what will you enjoy? So the Lord gives the sense objects also. So for the nose, there is smell. For the eyes, there is form. For the ears, there is sound. For the tongue, there is taste. And for the skin, there is touch. See, we don't analyze in this way, but the scriptures, they force us to think. कि बाबा देखो, ये सब जो दिख रहा है ना, one is the gross organ, second is the ability to use that gross organ, and then the thing that comes from using that gross organ. All three are given by the Lord only. Isn't it so amazing what God has created? Like if you analyze even one of these things, इनमें से एक को भी देख लो आप, pick any one, you pick the sense of, let's say the sense of smell. Sense of smell is so amazing. मतलब उसका क्या, अगर हम लोग इसको see, all the things that God has given us, no, if we just pause for a moment, एक सेकंड बस रुक जाओ and देखो, अपनी उंगलियों को देखो, look at your fingers. Now I decide, someone tell me which finger out of this I should move. Anyone? Which finger should I move? Index finger, right? He just said index finger, I heard index finger, and I moved my index finger, right? There are so many things that are happening between this. I pointed at him, he saw me. He saw me, God's grace. He said index finger, he said that sound, it came, entered into my ears, it vibrated inside my ears, the eardrum vibrated, created some electrical impulses. Those impulses, there are many other steps, but I'm just skipping. Those impulses were conveyed to the brain. That brain interpreted those electrical impulses and said, what is the question being asked? Move one of your fingers. Which finger? Index finger. The brain understood, then brain gave instructions to the hand that move out of your 5 fingers, now move only index finger. And index finger moved. All this happened in 1 second. This is the creation of the Lord, that it's all working like butter. मक्खन जैसा चल रहा है सब कुछ, पर हमें पता ही नहीं है. हम लोग तो बस यूज किए जा रहे हैं body which the Lord has given with no acknowledgement. It is like that villager who comes, who is living in that village which has been created by the king, who studied in the school created by the king. He doesn't know the king exists also. वो king को पूछा कौन है तू, ये सब तेरा है क्या? हाँ मेरा है, अहम सर्वस्य प्रभु. So when the Lord says in the Gita, when Arjuna is asking the Lord, Lord please tell me about your opulences, and Lord says aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam pravartate. So someone may say कि क्या ये तो ego है भगवान का, ये क्या है? Oh, he's boasting like this, everything comes from me. It actually comes from him, right? So we are talking sense of smell. What is the sense of smell? You know, abhi when you're sitting here, abhi yahan pe baithe hain, you know, if you just for a moment just close your eyes and smell, okay? Now you will smell something. Till now we were not smelling, we were breathing, but even the breathing we are not conscious. We are not conscious, right? Now there is a whole new concept that is rotating all over the world, right? About conscious breathing, pranayam, conscious breathing, you know, that kind of mindful breathing, which we talk about. We are just normally breathing without even thinking. It's just an involuntary reflex action that keeps happening every moment, right? But when we smell, what is happening? Some, you know, some food that is cooked downstairs, or someone's bodily odor, or maybe, you know, the flower, वहाँ पे जो flower offer करते हैं उसमें दे अत्तर लगाते हैं ना, वो अपने हाथ में they put that. Now if I smell it, immediately, what happened? I smelled it. It immediately created a certain sensation in my nose, a very sweet sensation. That sensation immediately the brain recognizes, ये सुबह तूने गुरु पूजा के टाइम हाथ में जो फ्लावर का अत्तर लगाया था वो है. चलो ये तो बहुत obvious है. Sometimes when you smell something, okay, you smell it and you know दाल बन रही है. You smell it and you know that सब्जी बन रही है. You smell it and you know that खीर बन रही है. Smell से समझ जाता है. कैसे? कैसे? How it's possible? Just by smell I can identify. मैं कुछ magician हूँ? No. You know, so some people have got little gross. I have got very मेरा तो बहुत सूक्ष्म है इसमें. You know, like my wife always gets very, you know, I tell her. So कभी अगर by chance once in a blue moon कभी दाल बन रही है, एक ही बार हुआ है मेरे साथ, दाल बन रही थी घर में, and I smelt it and I said आज शायद नमक नहीं डाला है. And she's like, you're right, but तुझे कैसे पता चला? I said पता नहीं, स्मेल से पता चला कि इसमें नमक नहीं है. So see कितना सूक्ष्म है हमारा. Ability to smell is so subtle, so amazing. You know, you smell something. अच्छा अभी दाल खाया आपने, अभी मदर के हाथ का दाल खाया आपने, आप 10 साल बाद भी वो स्मेल आएगा ना, आपको याद आएगा हाँ ये वही वाला है, मेरी माँ जैसे बनाती वैसे ही है. So smell also has a memory. What we see has a memory, what we hear has a memory. Smell has a memory. Touch has a memory. Your fingers have memory. You touch something and it is very soft. What does it remind you of? What ingredient does it, what material does it remind you of? Velvet, makmal, silk. Silk has a different feel. Velvet has a different feel. Corduroy has a different feel. And when we touch, if we close our eyes and we touch, we'll know this is silk. This is velvet. This is normal cotton. This is polyester. Of course, little trained. वो टच करके समझ जाता है. जो टेक्सटाइल वाला आदमी होता है वो ऐसा एक सेकंड ऐसा टच करके बोलता है फालतू मटेरियल है मत खरीदो इसको. कैसे? That is what these senses are. It's so powerful what God has given us. We have to understand, we have to acknowledge that this is what Krishna has given, this is what he has created. This is the intelligence of the Creator. It is unbelievable. So in other words, actually, I mean, I'll not go into all the senses, because every sense is like that. You pick any sense, koi bhi uthao up, you know, sense, sound we just discussed, sight, the ability to see. You may see 300 people sitting, okay? And from that 300 person, you see one person whom you recognize and say, Mataji, Braj Kishore Prabhu's wife, like, khadak, right? Immediately you can recognize amongst so many, maybe 50 Matajis sitting here, amongst them, khadak, you can recognize, kaise it's possible, right? All given the ability, the sense, the gross sense, the ability of that sense, everything is given by Krishna. So in other words, the whole kit, एक हम लोग जब engineering कर रहे थे, हमारे पास एक kit रहता था, that you would have a kit of, for not engineering, before engineering, biology we used to have a kit, वो dissection करने का kit रहता था. Anyone who's done science will remember, we used to have that dissection के लिए अलग-अलग 4-5 instruments रहते हैं. वैसे ही the Lord has created an apparatus, a kit consisting of nose, eyes, tongue, ears and skin. He's created an apparatus, a kit with which we can enjoy in the material world. He's given, दिया है आपको. So, but just having the kit is not enough. It is like अगर आप, are you a biology student, Prabhu? No. अगर आपके हाथ में मैं बायोलॉजी का किट दे दूं, क्या फायदा? आप उसे देखो क्या है, you give it up, right? But anyone here who is aspiring to be doctor or is doctor, anybody in this crowd, any science students? कोई नहीं है? हरी बोल, चलो आज आज सब लोग engineering वाले ही लग रहे हैं, science commerce वाले लग रहे हैं. So if at all there is somebody who is a, let's say aspiring to be doctor, उनके हाथ में ये किट दिया तो उनको क्या लगता है, अरे सही है बॉस, कितना अच्छा क्वालिटी का है, मेरे पास जो एकदम रद्दी क्वालिटी का है, दिस सच अ गुड क्वालिटी वन, they'll be so happy, correct? So unless there is a desire to do something, you give them that apparatus, it means nothing. जो ब्रिजेस बनाता है उसको पॉटर का किट ला के दो, उसका क्या वैल्यू रहेगा? नो वैल्यू. सेम वे, फर्स्ट थिंग दैट इज नीडेड इन दिस apparatus, द फर्स्ट, मतलब द apparatus में सबसे पहला क्या अंदर जाता है ह्यूमन बॉडी में या किसी भी बॉडी में, इज फॉल्स ईगो. फर्स्ट थिंग गॉड गिव्स अस इज फॉल्स ईगो. फॉल्स ईगो मीन्स व्हाट? That convinces us that we are meant to enjoy. I can enjoy and I am the enjoyer. Aham bhogi, siddhoham, balavan sukhi. We feel that I am the enjoyer. Unless I feel I am the enjoyer, how I will enjoy? मेरे मन में वो विचार ही नहीं है कि चांस मिला तो एंजॉय करना चाहिए, वो मन में विचार ही नहीं है, तो इवन चांस आया, आई विल नॉट एंजॉय. I don't think I'm enjoying. The person, who has never seen mobile phone, of course, the wrong analogy today because now everyone has a mobile phone. But suppose someone who has never understood what is artificial intelligence, okay? आजकल ये नया दौर चल रहा है ना, artificial intelligence, doesn't know what is artificial intelligence. So you tell them that, see, this chat GPT is going to change the world. अच्छा, कैसे? अरे, it will change the world. हाँ कैसे? इट विल चेंज द वर्ल्ड. वो कैसे बताओ? नहीं बता पाते हैं बिकॉज उसको किस लैंग्वेज में समझा, वो लैंग्वेज ही उसको मालूम नहीं है, राइट? सो फर्स्ट वी मस्ट हैव द फीलिंग दैट आई एम द एंजॉयर एंड दैट एवरीथिंग अराउंड हियर, जनस्य मोहयम अहम ममेति, दैट I am this body and everything in relationship to this body is mine and for my enjoyment. First, that is the first ingredient of the apparatus. उसके बाद दूसरा क्या आता है? The mind. Because even if you are given that sense of enjoyment, there is someone who needs to keep coming and tapping you on the shoulder. अच्छा भाई साहब, एक मिनट भाई साहब, एक मिनट प्लीज. आप कुछ कर रहे हो, आप कुछ लेक्चर सुन रहे हो, लेक्चर दे रहे हो या कुछ जपा कर रहे हो, तभी someone comes and reminds you on the shoulder. हरे कृष्णा, एक मिनट, क्या है? आपके फोन में नोटिफिकेशन आ रहा है. अभी अगर हम लोग मंदिर में बैठे हैं, if we are sitting in the temple there and we are chanting over here, we are sitting and chanting, When we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, kadak, nice chanting we're doing. And then someone comes, my phone is kept by the side there. Someone sees the phone, ringing, or someone sees the phone, notification. And someone goes and tap, Prabhu ji, aapka phone baj raha hai. Hare Krishna, right? Because we are in the temple. But at home, what we'll do? फोन उठाएंगे, बात करेंगे, फिर उसके बाद 10 नोटिफिकेशन देखेंगे, व्हाट्सएप, ये सब, मेरा आज कल का पोस्ट था, उसका कितना फीडबैक आया, सब, एवरीथिंग, राइट? दैट इज व्हाट वी डू. सो इट इज द माइंड which keeps on reminding us. Our mind is like the person who comes and taps on the shoulder. कि अच्छा भाई साहब, आपको याद है लास्ट टाइम आप वो स्पोर्टिंग इवेंट में गए थे? नहीं, अभी हम ये सब नहीं करते. नहीं, बट वो लास्ट टाइम गए थे, क्या मजा आया था, इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया का मैच था, आपने देखा था. वापस आ रहे हैं इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया का मैच, जाना चाहोगे? So, our mind, it reminds us of experiences that we have had in the past and puts proposal before us. आपको क्या लगता है? पिछली बार आपको इसमें बहुत मजा आया था. Would you like to enjoy again? And now the mind has proposed. So the intelligence is supposed to say नहीं. Please. बहुत बार ट्राई किया है, एंजॉयमेंट छोड़ो, खर्चा होता है और उल्टा टाइम वेस्ट होता है, एंड देन नेक्स्ट डे मेरा जपा भी ठीक नहीं होता है. नहीं, बट द इंटेलिजेंस का आवाज इज वेरी लो, एंड द माइंड, लाइक व्हाट प्रभु जी वाज सेइंग लास्ट वीक, ब्रजबिहारी प्रभु, दैट द माइंड इज वेरी लार्ज, इट्स गॉट अ वेरी लाउड वॉइस, वेरी फास्ट, एंड very loud, very fast, and very attached, thank you, very attached, right? So mind keeps saying, अरे आप क्या बात कर रहे हो, जपा तो आप रोज करते हो, इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया मैच बंबई में, वानखेड़े में, पास में है हाथ में, ये क्या रोज की बात है? क्या बोलते हो, जाएं, चलें? एंड देन द पर्सन से, चलो यार चलते हैं. सो द माइंड इज द वन दैट कीप्स हैंकरिंग, कीप्स लैमेंटिंग. It keeps hankering, give me this, 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 अभी चाहिए, इसी वक्त. तो बाद में नहीं, अभी उठो, ये सब भीड़ भाड़ छोड़ो, चलो अभी, right? So the mind insists on everything that it wants immediately, and it keeps lamenting for what didn't happen. Hankering, lamenting, That's why in one verse in the Gita, Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na shochati na kankshati. The person who is on that platform of Brahman, is God realized, he neither laments nor he hankers for anything. But till that point, the mind will keep hankering and lamenting for enjoyment based on previous experiences. And then, first is the false ego, which says you are the enjoyer. Then there is the mind which presents prastav for enjoyment. And senses are ever ready. वो तो ऐसा सक्षम रहता है, तैयार कि हाँ एंजॉयमेंट है, चलो. The senses are ever ready to oblige whenever any sense object is in the range. वो range में दिख रहा है, senses are always willing to oblige. Isn't it amazing? And then, so there are 3 things we discussed: false ego, then the mind, then the gross and subtle senses, which we have already discussed till now. One more thing is needed. What is that? Currency. Currency meaning what? अगर आपके पास इच्छा है अभी, और ईगो इज टेलिंग यू कि अभी आपकी औकात ना थोड़ी बढ़ गई है, यू हैव बिकम लिटिल बिगर पर्सन नाउ, क्या ये एंड्रॉइड फोन वगैरह लेके घूम रहे हो? अभी आपके पास क्या होना चाहिए? आईफोन कौन सा मॉडल? 15 प्रो मैक्स होना चाहिए. आईफोन 15 भी नहीं, प्रो मैक्स होना चाहिए. सो द ईगो इज टेलिंग यू दैट औकात बढ़ गई. माइंड टेल्स यू कि टॉप फोन लो. सेंसेस आर नाउ गेटिंग एजिटेटेड. आपने किसी के हाथ में, अभी उसके बाद आप जहां भी देखो आपको सिर्फ आईफोन 15 प्रो मैक्स ही नजर आएगा. जिसके भी हाथ में आपको नजर आए, बोले यार इसके पास है, मेरे पास नहीं. अरे माता जी के पास है, मेरे पास नहीं है. अरे प्रभु जी के पास, मेरे पास नहीं है. So the senses get more and more agitated. Dhyayato vishayam pumsam sangaste upajayate sangat sanjayate kaman kamat krodho bijayate. So the mind is now pushing you. Come on, do it. Senses are getting agitated. If the senses are not gratified, they become angry. Mind becomes angry. Ye kya hai? So now, what comes finally? Currency. Do I have the money to buy? You may have desire, your mind, intelligence, ego, everything may be telling you buy it. Paisa hai kya? Can I afford to spend that much money? No? Then you can't. Simple as that. You can't do it. पैसा ही नहीं है, कहाँ से खरीदेंगे? वो बोलते हैं ना कि एक किडनी बेच के खरीदा, वो जोक है, प्लीज कोई ट्राई मत करना, ठीक है? इट्स अ जोक, इट्स नॉट सपोज्ड टू बी टेकन सीरियसली, बट I mean, unless you sell a kidney, you can't buy an expensive phone. Then you will not buy, no? We are not stupid. So therefore, we need currency. So for any kind of sense gratification in this world, through any of the five senses, any kind of gratification of the senses, we need currency. What is that currency? Karma. If I don't have the right appropriate karma, फिर वो all those other apparatus is of no use. कोई फायदा नहीं है उसका. कर्मा भी चाहिए, desire भी चाहिए. Desire is from previous life you had desire, but now you have the apparatus also, and you have the desire also, and the circumstances also created, and then you can enjoy your senses. It is like someone sees, too many. That's why I say don't see too many National Geographic videos. बोलते ये तो हार्मलेस है, नेचर के बारे में दिखाते हैं, अब बहुत ज्यादा मत देखो, बिकॉज अगर उसको देखोगे क्या होता है, यू सी अ लायन, हाउ अ लायन, इट्स लाइक एम्बॉडीमेंट ऑफ मैजेस्टी एंड पावर. यू विल सी अ लायन जस्ट स्टैंडिंग दैट, विद इट्स बिग मेन एंड क्या दिखता है खतरनाक, एंड देन वो लायन जाके ऐसे फुल स्पीड, फर्स्ट अपना हाइंड लेग्स के साथ वो ऐसा मट्टी उड़ाता है, एंड देन ही गोस running full speed and captures and kills a big buffalo or elephant or rhinoceros, which is much bigger than the lion. उसको मार के खाता है. अभी आप ये 2 बार 3 बार 4 बार देखो, कहीं तो मन में आएगा क्या है यार, ये अमेजिंग, मेरे पास ऐसा होता तो हो गया. वो बीजम सीड आपने सो कर दिया, हाँ, एंड वो सीड इफ यू ध्यायतो विषयाम पुंसाम बहुत ज्यादा किया, क्या होगा? संगस्ते उपजायते. I want that. I also want to be that. You may not very externally think like that, but subtly if you're thinking about it too much, you're watching it too often. That is why, we say that be careful what you watch. Be careful what you hear. You may want to become like that. Like that. So, if the desire is there, the karma is there, apparatus is already given. The Lord gives the appropriate apparatus. अच्छा तेरा ये इच्छा था that I have to kill animal and eat like that, तो okay, next life you become a lion or you become a cheetah or a panther or something like that. हीरानंदानी में जो पवाई है, IIT पवाई के पीछे जो leopards रहते हैं, you may become a leopard over there. You'll be killing goats on a daily basis. Be careful what we see, what we desire, because apparatus is there. अलग अलग बॉडी में अलग अलग apparatus भगवान ने बना के दिया है, किट बना के दिया है. So which, so if you want to enjoy in the material world, the Lord has given the whole apparatus. False ego, mind, senses and karma. Everything is there. However, similarly, if those who are in this room and those of us who are listening online and those of us who are not listening also, but who are practicing Krishna consciousness on a daily basis, what is it that we are looking to do? Hopefully, we are tired of the material world. थक गए ये सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन ट्राई कर करके कुछ निकल ही नहीं रहा है. वी आर लाइक बस हो गया अभी. नाउ लेट अस ट्राई एंड सरेंडर टू कृष्णा. If you want to surrender to Krishna, Krishna has given kit and apparatus for that also. उसके लिए भी दिया है. He has given the Vedic scriptures. Vedic scripture दिया जिसमें सब कुछ स्पष्ट, everything is very clearly explained that, how, who is God, What are his different forms? What are his different vibhutis? How do I worship him? How do I connect with him? How do I surrender to him? Everything is given in Vedic scriptures. अच्छा, scriptures पढ़ना आता नहीं है. Like majority of us, none of us know how to read scriptures. संस्कृत किसको आता है? आता भी होगा तो उसमें से समझ क्या आएगा? He has given acharyas who have nana shastra vicharaneka nipuno sadharma samsthapako. They have मतलब घोल के पिया है उन्होंने शास्त्र को, and they have given us the essence. चलो ये पढ़ो. So we have the acharyas. The Lord himself comes in the spiritual, sense. If we are wanting a spiritual life, the Lord himself comes in Kali Yuga in so many forms. He comes in the form of his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. He comes in the form of the holy name. He comes in the form of Hari Katha. Hari Katha, Srimad Bhagavatam is not different than Krishna. He comes in the form of the deity. Shri Radha Gopinath, Nitai Gaur Chandra, Gopal Ji, Shri Janardhan Bhagwan, Radha Gopijan Vallabh. Lord is standing there waiting for you to decide which kit, So he comes in the form of the Lord. He comes in form of prasad. Swa prasad anna dilo bhai. Say annamrita pao, Radha Krishna guna gao. Very soon, hopefully, we will be going down for prasad. That prasad is also non-different than Krishna. He comes in form of tirthas, which is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Tirthas. Tirthas is what? The dham, the holy dham, Vrindavan, Dwarka, Jagannath Puri, all these places, right? Ayodhya, day after tomorrow, the whole world's attention now. In one sense, it is nice because everyone has got focused now. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. जिन्होंने कभी जिंदगी में मुंह से जय श्री राम बोला नहीं होगा, अभी सब बोल रहे हैं. अच्छी बात है. It's a good thing. It's nice. Even those who are blasphemers of Ram are at least taking Ram's name. So it is nice. So these dhams are there. The temples which are like dham. This temple is a dham. It's a holy place. And this tirtha is also manifestation of the Lord. So all of this, the Lord himself comes in that apparatus, spiritual kit. Lord himself is also there. And then, as Prabhupada says, that also understanding of tirthas are those who are propounders and followers of the Vedic knowledge. Those who spread Vedic knowledge and those who follow Vedic knowledge. Guru and the Vaishnavas. They are also part of this kit. So when we take shelter of this process of bhakti sincerely, see, our biggest problem is we are not sincere. We are not honest in our sadhana, in our hearing, in our chanting, in our prayers. Last week, again, Brajbihari Prabhu in his lecture, since he was sharing his heart, I am praying to the Lord for somebody and then suddenly mind went to UK, idhar udhar घूम के फिर से वापस वो prayer पे आया. And he was very candid and very humbly he was sharing it. But this is our situation, that our mind is not able to focus on anything. But if we are sincere, if we really sincerely follow the process, Acharyas have given us clear steps. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Very clear. The path is clear. हम कहाँ अटके हैं? यहीं पे. We are in still Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya. वहीं पे हमारा गाड़ी अटका हुआ है. वो व्हील अटका है, वो आगे ही नहीं जा रहा है. Desperately वो एक्सेलरेटर दबा रहा है, लेकिन वो व्हील वहीं पे अटका है. किस में अटका है? We are stuck here because we are attached to the apparatus of sense gratification. So, हम लोग जो है ये false ego, mind, senses, कर्मा के चक्कर में फंसे हुए हैं. That is why our wheel is rotating full speed, but car is not moving forward. Because we have chosen the kit or apparatus of sense gratification, the material kit, which we use for our own sense gratification, but it keeps us rooted in the material world. हमको ऐसा जकड़ के बांध के रखा हुआ है. Whereas the spiritual kit, spiritual apparatus, that is actually meant for Krishna's pleasure. Material kit is meant for our own sense gratification, which keeps us in the material world. Spiritual kit is meant for Guru's pleasure, Krishna's pleasure. And that can help us to transcend the material world. So our life as devotees, we have to choose that which kit do I choose. At every moment of our life, we have to decide, अभी मैं कौन सा kit use कर रहा हूँ, खुद का sense gratification वाला, or the kit that will give pleasure to the Lord. So I'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hare Hare. Do we have time for question? One question. Any question or comment, anybody? Yes, bro.
In one lifetime, is it possible to go back to Godhead or not? Because even in this world, we see that from childhood we remember so much, and mind takes us to
so many experiences of the past.
This many lives. How is it possible?
Thank you. So nice question. Prabhuji is asking that our mind is filled with so many impressions of this lifetime, previous lifetimes of sense gratification. Is it even possible to go back to Godhead in this lifetime? So, if you see here Prabhupada's words, he's very emphatic. One moment, you haven't read my books. One moment you can go back to Godhead. Yes, but we know that we are not on that level. However, I'll just give you an analogy. अभी आपने कभी घर में पेंटिंग करवाया है, पेंटिंग? तो पेंटिंग में when the painter buys paint, does he buy paint of pink color? What does he do? He buys white paint और उसमें वो tint add करता है. तो थोड़ा सब अगर मूव कलर करना है, थोड़ा रेड ऐड करेगा, थोड़ा ब्लू ऐड करेगा, थोड़ा व्हाइट रेड ब्लू व्हाइट एडजस्ट करके देन एक पर्टिकुलर कलर मूव बनता है. करेक्ट? इट इज नॉट दैट मूव कलर का पेंट आया. इन द सेम वे आवर माइंड is what it is. When we are born with certain gunas, certain qualities. We are mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. Depending on what we have done previous lifetimes, we are born with something. Now, that is like the white tin which you acquired at birth. अभी उस white tin में आप कौन सा रंग घोल रहे हो, उसके basis पे रंग बदलते जाएगा. So, if we keep on adding black, blue, red, yellow, green, कड़क कलर्स ऐड करते जाएं, तो वो व्हाइट जो है, ओरिजिनल व्हाइट जो है, उसका कलर कुछ और ही बन जाएगा. करेक्ट? बट इफ वी ऐड, लेट्स से ड्यूरिंग द डे, okay, during the day we add, let's say 75% we add white and maybe 25% we added little blue, okay, not red, blue. Then next day again you added 75% white, 25% blue. अभी क्या हो रहा है, वो अच्छा स्काई ब्लू कलर बन रहा है, राइट? एक दिन आपने उसमें रेड ऐड कर दिया, क्या हुआ, कलर चेंज हो जाएगा. बट द नेक्स्ट डे नहीं नहीं, रेड कलर से कलर चेंज हो गया बॉस, तो अभी क्या करने का है, नेक्स्ट डे वापस व्हाइट एंड ब्लू. So blue, if we compare, let's say, to Sattva Guna, I do activities in Sattva Guna, right? So there is white, which is Bhakti, blue, which is Sattva Guna, red is Rajas, and black is Tamas. If you add more of black and more of red, the whole color changes because they're very powerful colors. Blue आप ऐड कर रहे हो and majority white है, तो ऐसा sky blue, ऐसा ये वाला कलर एकदम pleasant, ऐसा देखने को अच्छा लगता है. But over a period of time, if we say that even blue I don't want to add, I will only add white. The more white you add, the more and more and more that will stop looking sky blue, it will start looking very pale blue. At one point it will look pure white. Our problem is every day in our lives, using the apparatus that the Lord has given us, we keep adding red, black, brown, all those colors. And then we wonder that my mind is not under control. How it will be? Because every day we are adding those colors. So more we associate with people in mode of goodness, the more we associate with sadhus who are above mode of goodness. उनको तो मतलब they are white color. तो वो sadhus के साथ हम लोग जितना ज़्यादा association लेंगे, to that extent our previous impressions, previous पूरा कचरा भरा हुआ है, जन्म जन्मांतर का कचरा भरा हुआ है, पर उस कचरे में आप रोज व्हाइट ऐड करोगे, क्या होगा? 1 point, it will take a long time. अगर ब्लैक कलर है, एक पूरा ब्लैक मतलब पूरा ब्लैक ही कलर है, उसमें आप व्हाइट ऐड करोगे, मतलब कलर कुछ चेंज ही नहीं हुआ, प्रभु जी देखो ब्लैक का ब्लैक ही है, और ऐड करो और ऐड करो और ऐड करो, ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम व्हाट विल हैपन? इट विल बिकम डार्क ग्रे, then it will become light gray, then it will become very light gray, and after a very very long time it will become pure white. Be careful what we are adding in our can of paint on a daily basis. Then, you know, at least what has happened in the past we can't control, because that will keep reminding us. But when it reminds us, what do? Am I conscious of my false ego that tells me, देखो mind ने remind किया, be given, enjoy? Or am I Krishna conscious, which reminds me, प्रभु क्या कर रहे हो, क्या कर रहे हो? बड़ा कंठी माला पहन के हाथ में बीड़ बैग लेके बैठे और ऐसा सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन, क्या कर रहे हो? बस स्टॉप, राइट? Then what happened? We just added white. Just added white. उससे कोई फर्क पड़ा? देखो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ा, कोई बात नहीं, कल भी आएगा चांस, कल वापस व्हाइट ऐड करो, परसों भी आएगा चांस, वापस व्हाइट करो. Over a period of time, these thoughts will not disturb you. Then when it has already become quite white, you add little blue, little red, because वो majority white हो गया है, थोड़ा सा फर्क पड़ेगा, but it will not affect badly like that. Is that okay? हरे कृष्णा. शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, शिल गुरुदेव की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी, हरि हरि बोल. Thank you very much. हरे कृष्ण.